Now, there are a lot of ways to get your black card revoked, people. Um, you could, I don't know, bring a fork to a barbecue and start using the fork to actually eat your chicken with. Uh, and then you subsequently wipe off the barbecue sauce at the cookout, like in front of all your family members. You wipe it off with the napkins instead of licking your fingers. That's like one way to get your black card revoked. Um, you could go to a chicken and waffles joint and just order pancakes, but no chicken and waffles. That's another way to get your black card revoked. Um, I mean, there are a lot of look, you could claim that Elvis as a black, as a black person. If you're white and you like Elvis, that's you. But I'm just telling you, from us, you could say, young Elvis was actually better than young Michael Jackson. Like, that's another way to get your black card revoked. I mean, there is a litany of ways that you can get your black card revoked. Back in the day, voting for Bush actually was like the big thing. I remember in middle school how everybody made it a big deal. Like, if they found out your parents voted for Bush, then you were getting made fun of because our black parents were telling us, don't vote for him. And so when I tell you that in all the years that I've seen people getting their black card revoked, shout out to Candace Owens, I've never seen someone's family come out and take their black card in public, in front of the whole world. And when I tell you, it brings a special type of joy to my heart to know that we weren't crazy. I've been telling y'all there was something off about the fact that Kamala Harris's father is not pictured with her as an adult, as a teenager, or as a college student. I've never heard her. I've been reading, clearly, if you've been watching my channel, I've been reading a lot about her past. I've never seen her mention her father until she was trying to play the civil rights activist card. Why? Well, if he actually was one, which I do believe he probably was, I believe that it would have hurt her campaign in the past, right? So if she's not actually, if she is trying to win the Senate race, but trying to win the approval of police unions, why would she mention that her father is a civil rights activist? Well, because she's an opportunist. So of course she would not do that, which once again goes to show you how much she actually cares about civil rights issues. But here we are. In this article by the Jamaica Gleaner, Dad blasts Harris for stereotyping Jamaicans. Presidential aspirant criticized by her own father after linking heritage to culture of pot smoking. Oh yeah, that happened. Let's take a look at this article. The United States presidential hopeful Kamala Harris is facing scathing criticisms from her father for attributing her support for the legislation of marijuana to her Jamaican heritage. And they quote her in that the Breakfast Club interview where she says, "Half my family is from Jamaica. Are you kidding me?" Harris had responded when she was asked if she smoked pot during an interview on the Breakfast Club in New York last week. The 2020 Democratic presidential hopeful acknowledged too that she has smoked marijuana and inhaled as a subtle jab at former U.S. President Bill Clinton, who said he smoked the quote unquote drug, but did not inhale. I don't like calling marijuana a drug. It is a plant. She suggested that her Jamaican father's side of the family would be disappointed in her if she did not support the legislation of marijuana. But according to the news website Jamaica Global Online, Donald Harris has categorically disassociated himself and his family from this travesty and slammed his daughter for stereotyping her heritage for political gain. "My dear departed grandmothers, as well as my deceased parents, must be turning in their grave right now to see their family's name, reputation, and proud Jamaican identity being connected in any way, jokingly or not, with the fraudulent stereotype of a pot-smoking joy seeker, and in the pursuit of identity politics. Speaking for myself and my immediate Jamaican family, we wish to categorically disassociate ourselves from this travesty. And I don't think that he meant smoking pot. I think he meant this dumpster fire that is Kamala Harris's campaign. And I think he meant the dumpster fire that is Kamala Harris. So now what? What's the excuse now? Because remember, we're racist. Well, clearly, I'm not racist, but that's what they're saying, right? Clearly, we were sexist, right? Right? Who are we to question Kamala Harris's legitimacy as far as her Black experiences are concerned? Who are we to judge based off of facts and history and evidence and her own words and her own policies? Who are we to judge the fact that everything about her history from the time she stepped foot back in America up until this point has never included her father, never really talked about in detail, or her pride about being Jamaican? All her stories are about her Indian aunts, her mother, her Indian grandmother, visiting India, how important her Indian heritage is, etc., etc., etc. Not until recently did we start seeing her discuss her Jamaican heritage when it became politically convenient. But once again, those stories she doesn't have stories, to my knowledge, that I've seen of her going to visit Jamaica, of her family coming to visit her. She has stories about her aunts, her grandparents, etc., from India, but none about her grandparents from Jamaica. Kamala Harris's father, her own father, is disgusted with how she is trying to co-opt this identity that she is claiming she's had. This experience that she is claiming, which once again, I don't know how many times I have to say it, the things that she is saying, no Black person who's had the Black experience, who's had Black mentors, who's had Black people around them their entire lives would ever do the things that she has done. We would never announce our candidacy on MLK Day. We would never say, oh, of course we smoke weed, we're Jamaican. Or of course, that's like saying, did you run track in high school? Of course I ran long distance track in high school. I'm from Ethiopia, or I'm from Nigeria. Like, come on, bro. Nobody would do that. But in case you're wondering if Kamala's father feels the same way we do, he didn't even only say I'm disgusted and disappointed with the way she tried to stereotype her heritage. I'm disgusted. She didn't just say, I'm disgusted that she just stereotyped her heritage for political gain. He said both of those things, and most importantly, I'm disgusted that she stereotyped her heritage for the pursuit of identity politics. In this particular case, weaponizing her identity for political gain. In this particular case, saying that if you critique my identity, if you critique my experiences that I'm claiming to be true, you are therefore critiquing my identity. Like that isn't the biggest logical jump in history. Her father is saying, I know I've been going hard at Kamala, but look, this is about as hard as you can get. This is it. If my mother came out and basically said everything Niko is saying about his experience as a Black man is BS, He's stereotyping them. He's stereotyping us because he wants to, seek political fame or something like that. If my brother or my sisters, or I have plenty of siblings, plenty of aunts. Hell, on Facebook, people have interacted with all of them. Okay, people have seen my family come out in full force back in the day, and they'll all tell you the same thing. We all get pissed because in more ways than one, my family personally, just on different levels, whether it's at the corporate level with my mother, whether it's in the military with my brother, who had to deal with a lot being in the specific branch of service and the specific job title that he had to deal with racism. Me personally, in the military, in college with police, me and my brother were stereotyped as Dominican drug lords in Miami when we were leaving my cousin's wedding just because of the way we were dressed in my brother's nice vehicle. Like, this is a reality that people live every day, and Kamala is pretending like it's a joke. Like, the stereotypes that are applied to black people don't have real consequences. Why do we know they have real consequences? I don't know. Ask Kamala, because she locked a bunch of black people up for smoking marijuana, while white people get to be millionaires. Think about that. These people who are millionaires in the marijuana industry now, think about this. They didn't just start smoking marijuana when marijuana was legalized. Come on, like, if you believe that, then you're naive as hell. It's not how weed works. But ask them how many times they've been to jail for smoking weed. Ask them how many 5, 6, 7 year sentences have they had for smoking weed. Ask how many times they've been put on probation for smoking weed. Ask them how many times they've been put on parole for smoking weed. Ask how many times their family members have gotten in trouble for smoking weed. Let me put it like this. If you made it to eventually own a business, it's probably because you never got caught. Hell, a lot of the times, you probably never got questioned. You've never been pulled over for just driving while black. You've never been stopped. You've never been approached. You've never even had the opportunity, the legitimate opportunity to be arrested for no reason, while the black person to the right of you didn't have, or was constantly harassed and heckled. I remember whenever I had surgery on my left shoulder after some nonsense happened, I had my pill bottle in the car because I traveled a lot at the time. And because I had my pill bottle, I let the cop search my car, which was a dumbass move on my behalf. I was young. But the dog scratched my car up. There was nothing wrong with anything that I had. There was nothing wrong with but he saw me, and I was stupid enough to be wearing a do-rag driving through the South. I got to keep my hair wavy and all that good stuff. And I was kind of a pretty boy back then. I'm not as pretty anymore, but I was stupid. That like, and this, people think I'm joking, but anybody who is black and especially males know what I'm just talking about. I was stupid wearing my do-rag driving on an interstate through the South. So they searched my car and found a pill bottle and almost tried to take me to jail, even though my name was on it and the prescriptions were up to date. That was a pill bottle with legal prescriptions. But they searched my car for no reason. And basically, I felt like I had to let them because it was me and my brother together, and I was worried that something else would have happened because of how forceful they were demanding that they let me search, or that I let them search my car. How many times do you think that's happened to some of these white women out here who own these dispensaries, where the cop says, "Let me search your vehicle right now"? This is why the stereotyping that Kamala Harris is trying to propagate is, first of all, clearly illegitimate, because it's mostly associated with Bob Marley in the Bob Marley culture, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're like, "Oh, I'm a Bob Marley fan," then okay, that makes sense. There's a very specific demographic of pot smoking Jamaican people. Okay, cool. There's nothing really wrong with that. But if you're trying to attribute a plant to, that's like saying, you know, every black person sold drug. They're like, did you sell crack when you were in high school? Of course. I'm from Brooklyn. No, not every black person is Jay-Z just because they're from Brooklyn. You hear that? But the stereotype of assuming that every black person sold crack because they were from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, is dangerous. And when people say stuff like this, it further solidifies the stereotype. Kamala Harris's father, being a PhD, being an activist, being Jamaican, living through the civil rights movement, and then being in Berkeley during the civil rights movement, which has its own implications, which if you're from Northern California, then you know what those are. That's sad. It's sad that it got to this point. So can we finally cancel Kamala, black people? She ain't it. She ain't it. Thanks for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. You can donate to our Patreon and keep helping the network grow by clicking on the link in the description below. And also, make sure you join us at JustNForm.com. And finally, make sure you subscribe to us on Roku and be part of the very first independent news network on Roku TV. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.